Throughout history, Yang Yuhuan seems to be the only imperial consort sent back to her natal family twice. Originally the daughter-in-law of an emperor, she astonishingly became a favored consort. Despite public gossip and widespread criticism, Yang Yuhuan paid no heed and boldly embarked on a romantic yet tragic Chinese love story with the emperor, a story both scandalous and poignant. Yang Yuhuan was born in the 7th year of the Kaiyuan era, 719, in Yongla, Puzhou, modern-day southwest Ruicheng, Shaanxi. From an early age, she learned singing and dancing, mastered music theory, and excelled at playing the pipa, her musical talent standing out among imperial consorts throughout history. Yang Yuhuan spent her childhood in Sichuan. Around the age of 10, her father passed away, and she was sent to live with her third uncle in Luoyang. In the 7th month of the 22nd year of the Kaiyuan era, 734, Princess Qianlong, the daughter of Emperor Xuanzong, held her wedding in Luoyang. Yang Yuhuan attended the event and caught the eye of Li Mao, Prince of Shou, Qianlong's elder brother, who fell in love with her at first sight. At the request of Consort Wu, Emperor Xuanzong decreed that Yang Yuhuan be made the wife of Prince Shou that same year. In her first year of marriage in the Prince of Shou's household, Yang Yuhuan accompanied her husband back to Chang'an along with Emperor Xuanzong and Consort Wu. They resided in the Prince of Shou's mansion. At that moment, wealth and glory seemed to flood into her life like a tide, and a vibrant, colorful path unfolded before her. The early years of her marriage were sweet. Prince Shou adored his young and beautiful wife, and the two often strolled together in the gardens or walked hand in hand on outings. Knowing her love for music and dance, Prince Shou hired renowned musicians from the royal court to teach her. The young couple shared everything, spending their days and nights together in a world of romance. Yang Yuhuan's beauty not only won the deep affection of Prince Shou but also earned the special favor of her mother-in-law, Consort Wu. Yang was often summoned to the inner palace to keep her company and frequently received gifts of precious treasures and jewels. At the time, Consort Wu held de facto power equivalent to that of an empress. Under her protection, Yang Yuhuan and Prince Shou enjoyed a peaceful and carefree married life despite the intense struggles over the imperial succession within the court. They chose neither to engage in the power struggles nor to interfere with palace politics. Perhaps the two once vowed to grow old together and remain inseparable through life and death. If time could have stood still, their modest happiness would have been enough. Several years later, Emperor Xuanzong's beloved consort Wu passed away, leaving him despondent and lonely. One day, prompted by a suggestion from Gao Lishi, the emperor recalled his daughter-in-law, Yang Yuhuan. Her unmatched beauty had left a lasting impression on him. On one occasion, Emperor Xuanzong and Consort Wu visited the hot springs at Lishan. During this trip, Yang Yuhuan happened to be riding alone nearby. The emperor invited her to dine with them in a warm pavilion. At that time, however, Consort Wu's dominant presence kept Xuanzong from acting on any other thoughts. But after seeing Yang Yuhuan again in his despondence, a forbidden desire took root in his heart. He wanted to claim her as his own wife, turning his daughter-in-law into his consort. Without Consort Wu's support, Prince Shou gradually lost favor with his father, Emperor Xuanzong, and found himself increasingly marginalized in court politics. Meanwhile, disputes among court officials over the succession further worsened Prince Shou's standing, as he faced exclusion from other imperial sons. Plagued by anxiety and unable to find peace, Prince Shou was acutely aware of his father's intentions toward Yang Yuhuan. Timid and submissive, he dared not defy the emperor's will, fearing that even the slightest resistance could cost him his life. As for Yang Yuhuan, she had believed that being with Prince Shou was all she could ever wish for. However, her husband proved too weak to protect even himself, let alone his wife. Feeling powerless, she eventually succumbed to the emperor's authority. At just 22 years old, Yang Yuhuan left Prince Shou's household after 5 years of marriage and moved to Lishan. At this time, Emperor Xuanzong was already 56 years old. Xuanzong first ordered Yang Yuhuan to become a Taoist nun under the pretense of praying for his mother, Empress Dowager Do. She was given the religious name Taizhen and moved into the Taizhen Hall. Thus began a heart-wrenching romance within the Tang dynasty, culminating in a tragic ending that left an indelible mark on history. The emperor's affection for Yang Yuhuan became well known throughout the realm. She had a fondness for lychees, and Xuanzong spared no effort to satisfy her craving. This indulgence inspired the famous line, "A steed gallops through red dust as the consort smiles. None know the lychee's origin." To fulfill Yang Yuhuan's desire, the emperor commanded the governors of Lingnan to transport fresh lychees over great distances using a relay of couriers. The journey, filled with swirling dust clouds, claimed the lives of countless horses and riders while trampling crops along the way. Whether her actions reflected a lack of awareness or innate vanity, her extravagant tastes and ostentatious lifestyle painted her as a femme fatale in the eyes of many. As the saying goes, to serve the emperor is like serving a tiger. For much of her life, however, Yang Yuhuan was simply a woman, youthful, willful, and perhaps somewhat lost. She believed herself innocent, staying away from court politics and relying solely on her beauty and musical talents to shield her from the chaos. Yet, as the old adage goes, when one rises to power, all around them ascend as well. Xuanzong's overwhelming love for her could no longer suffice. That love ultimately led her down a path of no return. Although Yang Guifei enjoyed the favor of Emperor Xuanzong, everyone knew that the imperial harem of the Tang dynasty was home to thousands of beauties, and it was impossible for the emperor to focus solely on one woman. Yang Guifei herself understood this well. How could the emperor dedicate all his affection to a woman who had been previously married? To maintain Emperor Xuanzong's love, she knew she had to take certain measures. Yang Guifei leveraged her talents and actively sought to please the emperor. Knowing his deep love for music and dance, she showcased her musical skills and dancing prowess to captivate his attention. Beyond performance, she participated enthusiastically in cultural activities at the palace, such as poetry recitals and painting exchanges, further solidifying her position in Emperor Xuanzong's heart. Their shared interests led to the organization of grand musical and dance events, creating a profound cultural and emotional bond. Her approach to gaining favor relied not just on her beauty but also on their shared appreciation for art and culture. Although she occasionally used jealousy to secure her position, this tactic sometimes provoked Xuanzong's displeasure. However, with the mediation of the chief eunuch Gao Lisher, Yang Guifei not only regained her status but also deepened the emperor's favor. From that point on, among the thousands of beauties in the harem, the emperor loved Yang Guifei alone. After Yang Guifei rose to power, her family and friends also benefited significantly from Emperor Xuanzong's patronage. Her distant cousin Yang Guizhong rapidly climbed the political ranks thanks to family ties, ultimately becoming the Tang dynasty's chancellor. This elevated the Yang family's political standing and gave them considerable influence at court. Additionally, Yang Guifei's three distant sisters were ennobled as the ladies of Gua, Han, and Qin. The emperor's generosity allowed them to live in luxury, often displaying their status with grand processions in the capital and hosting extravagant events, such as lavish gatherings at Huaqing Pool or spring outings at Zetian Pool. These activities not only highlighted the Yang family's power but also subtly expanded their social influence. However, the rise of the Yang family also led to arrogance and increasingly brazen behavior, including open confrontations with the imperial family. Historical records note that on the Lantern Festival of the 10th year of the Tianbao era, members of the Yang family clashed with Princess Guangning. The Yang family servants, disregarding the dignity of the royal family, whipped the princess's clothes, causing her to fall from her horse. When her husband, Prince Consort Changchangyi, helped her up, he too was beaten several times. The princess tearfully complained to Emperor Xuanzong, who ordered the execution of the Yang family's servants. However, Prince Consort Cheng lost his official position, and both he and the princess were humiliated. Although the offending servants were punished, the Yang family's arrogance remained unchecked, becoming a source of widespread resentment both inside and outside the court. The Yang family's haughty behavior generated significant dissatisfaction, with grievances rising to a peak across the empire. Meanwhile, Emperor Xuanzong in his later years became increasingly indulgent in pleasures, leading to the decline of a once prosperous economy and the intertwining of various social conflicts. In this environment, some regional warlords saw an opportunity to seize power, culminating in the historically infamous Anlushan rebellion. The rebellion's leader, Anlushan, launched the uprising under the pretext of opposing Yang Guifei's brother, Yang Guizhong. During the rebellion, Yang Guifei became a scapegoat for the empire's woes. On the eve of quelling the uprising, the military demanded her execution, refusing to continue defending Emperor Xuanzong and the Tang dynasty unless she was put to death. Faced with the crisis, Emperor Xuanzong had no choice. He could not sacrifice the empire for the sake of one woman. At such critical moments, women often became expendable. Thus, Emperor Xuanzong reluctantly ordered Yang Guifei's execution to preserve imperial authority and stabilize the situation. In the summer of 757 AD, at Mawei Post Station, located about 100 li outside Chang'an, sandstorms whipped through the desolate landscape like blades. Not long before, the Tang army had suffered a crushing defeat at Tong Pass, and the rebel forces were closing in on the capital. Faced with the imminent collapse of the empire, Emperor Xuanzong, Li Longji, failed to display his former decisiveness. This was not due to a lack of ability. In his youth, Li Longji had quelled the Wei clan rebellion with swift and resolute action, supported his father's ascension to the throne, and earned acclaim for ushering in the golden age of Kaiyuan. But now, he was old, exhausted, and far removed from his former vigor. Fearing for their lives, he fled with Yang Guifei, Yang Guizhong, and others under the cover of night, seeking refuge in Sichuan. However, the crisis of the Tang dynasty was not resolved by the emperor's departure. Instead, it reached a breaking point at this remote post station. The imperial entourage, fleeing for their lives, included soldiers of the Imperial Guard who were already worn down by hunger and exhaustion, their resentment boiling over. Food supplies were scarce, the environment harsh, and Yang Guizhong's arrogant behavior only added fuel to the fire. The mounting anger was like a taut string ready to snap at any moment. A single act by Yang Guizhong ultimately triggered the explosion. Rumors spread that he was colluding with Tibetan envoys to plot treason. When someone shouted, "Yang Guizhong is conspiring with the barbarians. If we don't kill him now, when will we?" The soldiers immediately rose up in a fury, attacking and killing Yang Guizhong on the spot, splattering the post station with his blood. But the matter did not end with Yang Guizhong's death. The soldiers then turned their attention to Yang Guifei, demanding her execution. At that moment, Emperor Xuanzong was thrown into panic. He tried to defend Yang Guifei, arguing that she lived in the deep palace and knew nothing of Yang Guizhong's crimes. However, the commander of the Imperial Guard, Chen Xuanli, delivered a statement that shattered Xuanzong's last hopes: "The troops have already killed Yang Guizhong. With the Imperial consort still at your Majesty's side, how can they feel at ease?" The message was clear: either Yang Guifei must die, or even the emperor's own safety could not be guaranteed. With swords drawn and no other options, Emperor Xuanzong had no choice but to give the order. Yang Guifei was strangled with a white silk cord, and thus, the life of the once dazzling beauty came to an end. Logically, the soldiers of the Imperial Guard, having taken up arms and committed murder, should have been guilty of a grave crime. Strangely, however, this seemingly uncontrollable mutiny abruptly ceased after the deaths of Yang Guozhong and Yang Guifei. What is even more perplexing is that, after the violence, the soldiers continued escorting Emperor Xuanzong to Sichuan as though nothing had happened. Historians believe that such a controlled release of anger was likely orchestrated by someone behind the scenes. That individual was most likely Chen Xuanli. Chen Xuanli was not an ordinary general. He had been by Emperor Xuanzong's side since before his ascension, weathering numerous political upheavals together. It could be said that Chen Xuanli was one of Xuanzong's most trusted individuals. Yet, during this mutiny, he suddenly stood against the emperor. This betrayal was not a simple power struggle but a carefully planned preservation operation. Chen Xuanli knew well that the anger of the Imperial Guard soldiers could not be quelled, and Yang Guozhong's death was inevitable. If the chaos were allowed to continue unchecked, it might also endanger Xuanzong's life. Thus, he chose to actively guide the rebellion, directing the soldiers' fury solely toward the Yang family while ensuring the emperor's safety. What is even more intriguing is Chen Xuanli's connection to the crown prince, Li Heng. On the day of the incident, the Ziji Tongjian records that Chen Xuanli contacted Li Heng before taking action. While Li Heng did not explicitly express his stance, his silence was the greatest form of consent. The death of Yang Guozhong directly removed the crown prince's most formidable political adversary. The death of Yang Guifei, in turn, shattered Xuanzong's political prestige completely. From that moment onward, the balance of power between the crown prince and the emperor began to shift. The crown prince did not stop there. Outside Mawei Post Station, a large number of citizens knelt in tears, pleading for Xuanzong to return to the capital, Chang'an, to take charge of the situation. Xuanzong refused. He understood that Chang'an had already become a mess beyond his ability to fix. Taking this opportunity, the crown prince stayed behind to stabilize public sentiment. Father and son parted ways. Less than a month later, Li Heng ascended the throne in Lingwu, proclaiming himself emperor and honoring Xuanzong with the title of Taishang Huang, retired emperor. While this appeared to be respectful, in reality, it was a complete sidelining of Xuanzong's authority. The Mawei Post Station mutiny, on the surface, seemed like an outburst of anger from the soldiers. In reality, it was a meticulously orchestrated transfer of power. Yang Guozhong's death represented the soldiers' fury, Yang Guifei's death symbolized the Imperial Guard's need for self-preservation, and Xuanzong's retreat marked the crown prince's opportunistic rise. There were no winners in this mutiny. Xuanzong lost his power and his beloved, Yang Guifei became a sacrificial pawn, and although Chen Xuanli temporarily preserved himself, he was executed by Emperor Suzong, Li Heng, a few years later. Some say this was merely the inevitability of political scheming. The brilliance of the Hai Tang era was destined to fade during the Inlushan Rebellion. Mawei Post Station was merely the beginning of the Tang dynasty's descent into decline. Some say that Xuanzong, who had spent his life scheming, ultimately lost the most important things in his later years: power, love, and even dignity. His downfall was a reflection of the inevitability of decline after reaching the zenith. This is History and Culture Channel. Like and subscribe are the biggest help and support for us. Thank you everyone. See you next time.